Welcome guys, I'll be showing you today how to get started with Unreal Engine. So first thing we'll cover is registration and downloading. So you want to navigate your way to www.unrealengine.com. Once you go down here, you can also type in Google to check for the recommended hardware specifications. You guys can check them down here. It's okay if you have more than this, which is obviously a lot better, but if you have less than this, then you guys will have some problems, as developing a game is actually harder than playing it. So if you guys maybe run a game at like 60 FPS, don't expect to, when you're making the same game, it'll also be a lot easier for you. So just keep that in mind, and then once you go to unrealengine.com, you want to click on Get Unreal right on the top here. Once you click on it, it will take you to this screen right here, where it'll ask you to create your Epic account. Now, Epic Games, you need to download this, and then from here you can install the Unreal Engine. So you want to choose your country, write your name and your last name, and then your display name. This is your the public name that everyone will see when you type in the forums, or you buy something, or you submit something to the marketplace for it to be sold. And then of course you want to enter your email and your password, and then accept, and then you will create an account, accept their terms and conditions. So once you guys have made your account, you guys will see the screen right here. So what you want to do here is you want to go to Get Unreal Engine, and down here you guys can choose either Windows or Mac. So depending on which platform you guys are using, you guys could choose either of these. So I'll just click on Windows because I'm using Windows, and once you click on it, you will start downloading the Epic Games launcher. And when you open the file that we have just downloaded, you will see the screen, and you'll just click install, and then you'll just wait for it to install all the way. And once it's installed, you guys want to open the Epic launcher once it has been installed. Then you will just log in. I'll just log in, so I just do on a different screen. Just enter your email and your password. And then just wait for it to log in. It will take a few seconds, I believe. So just have to be patient. Now, once you have logged in, you guys will automatically start off at Unreal Engine. And down here, I have launched because I already have the Unreal Engine installed, but you want to click on Install. And you want to make sure that you get the starter content. It's really important if you're starting out. Then you just click Install. It'll take you some time. Could take you 40 minutes to an hour, depending on just really depends on how fast your internet is. And while you're downloading this, we'll just explore the Unreal this Epic launcher, and then see what it has to offer to us. So first thing we'll do is we'll just look at the community tab right here. We'll just ignore these extra ones; these are different. And down here, you guys can access all the news, or the answers, or the forums and the wiki. I don't really use this page a lot, but you guys can have a look around. If you guys find anything useful, you guys can check it out. And then we'll go into the Learn tab. Now this tab is really useful. I use this tab a lot. And here you can find the Unreal official documentation and video tutorials on how you can use Unreal Engine. And these are really useful. This is how I learned Unreal Engine myself. And then down here you guys can download these content examples. And then you guys can use these inside your projects. But they have to be Unreal Engine only projects. You can't, for example, take these and use them inside of Unity, because that would be breaching the copyright thing. So, or you guys can just download them, have a look at how they've done things to learn new things. Yeah, and then there's some games you guys can also download some example contents. And then just yeah, so this is where you learn everything, and you can download stuff and then see it firsthand inside Unreal Engine. And then the next tab we have here is the Marketplace. Now inside Marketplace, you guys can buy a lot of the assets that have been created by the community, or even perhaps some by the staff. Not sure. I don't really haven't bought anything yet, but they also have some free stuff, which you guys can check out. You guys might find it useful. So this is basically a place, if you don't want to make everything yourself, you guys can just buy some things to save up on time. And then we have this here, and then library. Now this is the one I probably use the most every time I launch Unreal Engine. Obviously you guys can have more than one version at a time. Right now I have the 4.12.5 and the latest one, so you guys could obviously add versions and then choose one and then install right here. So if I click on install, this is the screen I'll get, and you guys just want to make sure you get the starter content and all the core components and stuff. I'll just remove this right now. And then so any projects you make inside Unreal Engine will show up right here. So this is how you guys can rework on them. Make sure you save your projects, of course, then they will show up right here. And anything you download from the Learn tab or the Marketplace will show up down here, and then you'll have the option to add it to your project or create a project from it. So you guys can check it out. So this is it, and then now you just have to wait for your Unreal Engine to download, and we'll begin from there. So once your download and install has finished, we will click on Launch Unreal Engine. It would take you some time. Normally it doesn't take that long. Just have to be patient. It's as you guys can see, it's initializing right now. Now once you've opened this, you will see this window right here. Inside this window, you will notice that we have our I have my projects right here, so any projects you guys make will show up here. And I have some sample projects that I have downloaded from the Learn tab down here. For now I'll just ignore these. You guys can obviously search any projects down here if you guys name them properly, and you have too many, you guys can easily search them here. For this we will click on New Project. So first thing you'll notice is we have two tabs right here. So one is for the blueprint and one is for the C++. This really depends on how you want to develop your game. So you guys could use blueprints, which I like to call visual coding. That's just how I like to call it, because it's personally I don't understand anything to do with C++. I've never done it, and I'm self-taught, so I use blueprints. But if you guys want this, you guys can use the C++ one. One thing to notice though, the blueprints one have virtual reality, whereas the C++ does not have that option. And then you have this, we will look at these options right now, and then you guys can choose one of these pre-made templates. So I think the names speak for themselves. So first person, flying, puzzle, rolling, vehicle. So inside these templates, you guys could obviously start out blank with nothing but just space and maybe a plane down here. And then in the first person, you start off with a gun, and then flying, you guys start off with this spaceship looking thing. So you guys can choose one you want, whichever one you want to start off as. Really depends on what type of what type of game you guys want to make. So once you have chosen this, then we'll look down here, and then you have a few other options down here. So first thing you can choose down here is you guys can either choose which platform or which hardware you guys are aiming for. I always go for desktop console, but if you guys want to make a game for mobile or a tablet, then you guys could choose this option right here. Then you guys could choose the quality, maximum quality, or you guys can choose scalable. And here you get the option, if you guys did download the starter content, which you should have, then it's recommended you start off with the starter content. But if you guys know exactly what you're doing and you have all the assets ready, so you guys could choose to start with no starter content. Then we have the option here to where you want your project to be saved. So not generally, you don't really want to change this. The default is inside your documents, inside Unreal projects. And then you can name your project right here. So for example, if I call this, I don't know, YouTube tutorial, and you can't have spaces in middle of these things. So the general thing people use in Unreal Engine is underscore. So that's a good way to to use to space between your words. And then for this example, I will make a third-person template to show you guys what the actual engine is like inside. And you guys can read more about it here, about the third person or about anything, and then you click on here. There's some details about it here. So now we'll create our first project. We choose third person and then we click on create project. It could take you longer depending on your hardware specifications. Now mine is quite decent. I have an SSD and I have 32 GB RAM. So mine probably might load faster than yours, or if you have a better specifications, yours might load faster than mine. But once you guys are inside the Unreal Engine, this is the screen you guys should see, and this is the default screen that you guys will see. So first thing I'll cover in this is navigations inside your viewport. So this is your viewport, this is the scene. So now how do we move around? So you guys can press the right click and then use WASD to go left, right, forwards and backwards. You guys can press the left mouse button, do the same thing. You guys can use the right mouse button to just move your mouse around to rotate your camera inside your viewport. You guys can then press your left mouse button and drag your mouse around. You guys can look left to right. And then what you guys can do is you guys can hold Alt and right mouse button. You guys can go back and forwards, kind of zoom in and out. And you guys can press the middle mouse button and Alt to rotate, kind of tumble around the wherever your mouse is facing. You guys can tumble around the area. This is quite useful at times. And you guys can use the scroll wheel to zoom in and out, and then hold Alt and then use the middle mouse button, go up, down, left, right, and your focus is where your mouse was when you started off. Okay, and then obviously now how fast, so now we can obviously fly around our scene using the keys that I showed you. And then how fast you go around your scene depends on this camera speed right here. So if I set this down to 1 and then I'll right click and then go forwards and backwards, you guys can see moving really slow, which can be useful if you guys are trying to really get the edge on something, or you can just turn this up to maybe, let's say 8. If you have a really massive like a massive map and you want to get to places fast, you guys can get to places really fast. I'll just turn this down to 4. 4 is the default you guys will start off with. Now the next thing we'll look at is these options right here. So in the drop down, we can choose to show stats. It's slightly more advanced. So if you guys have chosen stats down here, you guys can obviously, there's a lot of options here. You guys can choose to see how much memory is being used, or how many instances you have, tris count and everything. This we will cover at some later date, but the basics I'll show you guys right now is you guys can show FPS, so you guys can see how your FPS are in game. But one thing you should keep in mind, that normally sometimes it just happens that when you're inside here, your FPS are pretty bad, but when you actually launch the game, your FPS get better, because because making game, as I always say, is slightly harder than running a game. So this is how you guys can check out your FPS. You guys can turn on stats, real time, everything, and then game view. Now game view I use a lot because you don't want to always have to press play to see what your game looks like. Sometimes you just want to use the game view, and this makes all. You guys can also press G. Now all these extra circles and these lines and these icons will disappear when you press G. So it'll show you the in-game view of what the player will actually see. Or you can go down here and choose the immersive mode, or press F11. And then you guys can focus in your viewport. This gives you a better view. You guys can move around. Press G again to make all these things go away. And it's just nice to get a feel of what your game looks like and what you need to improve or something. Now we'll press F11 to go back and G to turn this back on. And then so yeah, and then down here you have more options. You guys can take a high resolution screenshots of your game. Just look somewhere and then take a screenshot. Or you guys can make a camera right here, wherever you are in your current location. You guys can choose a layout, You guys can go to advanced settings. So this is it, and now we will look at our views. Now inside our views right here, so right now we're in perspective mode. If we go into top mode, for example, I'll show you right now. Now you guys are looking at the map from the top, and you guys can use the right mouse button to move around, left mouse button to select stuff, and middle mouse button to measure the distance. If you hold middle mouse button and drag, you guys can measure the distance between objects. You guys can go to top view, bottom, left, right, side, anywhere you want. And down here, we're right now in wireframe mode, so you guys can go to lit, unlit, or just look at lighting, how lighting affects your world, look at reflections, and then player collision and everything. And while you're in a perspective mode, you guys could also use these as well. So you guys can this can be really useful to, if you guys want to add like advanced lighting and stuff, you want to make sure your game looks really nice, you guys can check these things out. And then right now just leave it on lit. And then you guys can one more thing you guys can do is you guys can change these options down here for LODs and stuff. You don't want to get into these too much until you know exactly what you're doing. And then under show, you guys have a lot more options. Down here you guys can turn things off, like post-processing, bloom, color color gradient. Now these are kind of like the options you have inside a game when you play like anti-aliasing or fog and stuff. So you guys can play around these settings. If you guys are having a lot of lag issues while making your game, you guys can turn these settings down a bit, just so it might help you. And then yeah, so this is how you guys do it. And then you guys can you guys have two viewport types here. One is the default, which is this one, and then cinematic. This gives you a nice nice cinematic look, which you guys can use in your cutscenes maybe and stuff. So I'll just go back to the default. And finally, the last thing we can do is, you guys see this icon right here on the top right. If you click this, you guys will see 4 views, and you guys can manually select which views you guys want to see. So this can be useful if you guys are trying to get like you guys are trying to get the thing looking really nice, and you want to make sure it's aligned from every single side and everything. And if you guys want to choose a specific window, if you want to go back into your default, you just click right here, and this will maximize this. I don't normally use this, but it can be really useful if you want to make sure that things are aligned, properly aligned and everything. So this is a really useful tool when you especially when you're level designing and stuff. And then the next thing we'll look at is our content browser right down here. Now your content browser is you can think of it as the communication between these objects, or any files you bring in and that you want to put in here. So you guys can add a new folder. There's different types of asset classes that you guys can make, which we will cover in detail. But for now, we'll leave this at that. There's different type of classes, levels, blueprints, and materials and particle systems. Or you can make a new folder or make a new C++ class, whichever works for you guys. I didn't mean to do that. I apologize. And then we'll click on our content right here. So down here, if you guys did download the starter content, you guys can go to content and starter content, and these are the objects you guys start off with. So first thing I'll show you guys is we'll go into content, and then we'll go into architecture. Now I'll show you guys how you guys can bring in so the primary format you use for assets in this Unreal Engine is FBX, which is the standard for Autodesk. But you guys can also use the same format in softwares like Blender or other 3D modeling softwares. They all support it. So to bring in an object into your scene, you just click on an object, just hold your left mouse button, and then just drag in. And this is it. This is as simple as it is. This is how you guys drag in an object into your scene. And you guys can I won't go into too much moving and stuff right now, but if you guys, now you have 3 axes here, X, Y, and Z, and this is how 3D works. So you guys move this up, and let's say you drag in an object, but you drag it in the air by accident, and now you don't know. Now taking it down is really hard because you don't know if it's going through the thing or not, and it's going to be really hard. So what you want to do is just press the End key on your keyboard. Now when you press the End key, it will fall onto the surface, whichever surface it is. For example, if you have the collision arm enabled on the surface, you guys can press F, and then it will take you to any selected object in your scene. You guys can press end here, and it'll fall on this surface. So this is how you guys do this, and now I'll go into modes, which are right down here. Now inside your modes, first thing we'll come across are the classes. Now these are really useful tools, and so I'll give you a quick summary on these. So first you have some basic shapes. You have a cube, you have a sphere, you have all these things. You have trigger boxes which you can use to generate events. For example, if someone walks through a trigger box, a cutscene plays or a sound plays. There's a lot of cool stuff you guys can do using blueprints and these trigger boxes. You guys can bring in a player character, which right now we don't need to, or empty character. And then in lights, so second thing we'll look at is lights. Now inside lights you guys can bring in like the sunlight, so you guys can obviously bring sunlight, point lights, spotlight, skylight. We'll cover the differences between these in a later video, but right now I just want you guys to get familiar with the main screen you guys will see once you have Unreal Engine. And then cinematic, you guys have a camera, you guys can make cutscenes, you guys can do all cool stuff. In visual effects you guys have like fog, post-process volumes, like you guys can enable bloom, anti-aliasing, you guys can add reflection spheres or have really nice reflection on your water and everything. And then geometry, you guys can bring in blocks and stuff. So this is the general tools that you guys can bring in and edit. Same thing, you guys want to bring something in, just drag it in. And then if you guys want to delete it, just press delete. Simple. And then volumes as well. So it's just like triggers and blocking volume, audio volumes and everything. And then finally you have all your classes, and you can easily search for them right down here. And next thing we'll look at is paint. So now you might think paint is simple. It's not as simple as you might think. You guys need to make the materials and everything. So we'll leave this aside. You guys can paint vertices or textures, and this can be quite useful, but generally I don't use this very much, but we'll cover this some later sometime. And then landscape. Now landscape is a really cool tool. You guys can choose a material, you guys can choose like a you guys can have multiple materials in this as well, but you guys will need to manually make those materials and then assign them here. So you guys can, this is a tool you guys can use. You guys can set the size, the chords and everything. I'll just make a small one to give you guys an example. I'll just choose something like grass, let's say. And this is from the starter content. And then you guys can choose the size, the scale, the resolution. And then I'll just create the world. And now you guys can see that we have some terrain with some grass material. This is the material that comes with the starter content. Then you guys can use this tool, you guys can click on it to make so you guys can do all cool stuff, to make mountains and everything, and you guys can hold shift and click to make this go down. But we'll cover this properly in a different video. So now I'll just press Ctrl Z, go back, and then go back to here. Or you guys can actually, it's really cool, so you guys can go to import from file, you guys can bring a height map. Now a height map will have the details on where the mountains are, where the ground is level, where the ground is high and low. And this will automatically generate a nice terrain for you. So you guys can bring in real world locations and then generate terrains from that. And then this is how you do that. And then the next thing we'll look at is the Foliage Tool. Now the Foliage Tool is really cool. I use this a lot. As the name suggests, foliage is to do with your trees and your grass and your flowers and your plants, anything plants and stuff. So when you actually learn how to make, let's say you learn how to make your first grass, you guys can use this tool to apply it to your surface or to your terrain. You guys can select the options here, what type of surface you want to apply it to. So for this example, just to show you guys how it works, what I'll do is, I'll go to content, starter content, and I'll go to props, and we'll choose this SM bush right here. And we'll just drag this bush right inside here. Now when you guys have this selected and make sure your paint selected, when you guys take your mouse down here, you guys will see there's some circle, this see-through circle. Now when you left click here, you guys will notice something has been planted on the ground. Now what this has done is, this has, rather than us having to drag each bush out at a time, this has placed them for us. And this can be really useful for you guys if you guys are trying to make a mass like a big terrain. You guys don't want to plant every single grass at one time. You guys can click on here, choose different settings, but we will cover this in detail in a different video. And so yeah, this is the basic thing you guys can do with the foliage tool. And then this tool right here, which is the geometry editing. Now this tool you guys can use. Now if you go back to our classes, if you guys remember, we had some if you go to geometry, we had some of these boxes here, so you guys can edit these boxes manually. If you go here, you guys can manually select each side, take it in, play around with it, whatever you guys want to do. You can mess around with geometry settings, make different shapes. Now it's not my favorite because I normally like to use external software to do all these things. I don't quite like doing this in Blender because these BSPs are quite heavy to run. And if you don't know how to turn them into static meshes, you probably want to stay away with them until you really know what you're doing. So now we have covered our modes, and of course you guys can, if you guys can't find your modes, if you accidentally close it, you guys can go to Windows and just click modes here, and this will show up. Or if you, let's say you accidentally drag something around here, and now your whole screen is messed up. You have no idea, what do I do now? Everything's messed up. Just click on Windows and just go to reset layout and press OK. Now it will restart. I don't want to restart, but if you guys do manage to do that, just save your stuff, just restart, and it should go back to normal. You guys can just drag it back there, but dragging can be hard if you guys are new to this. It can be really hard. Now then, the next thing we'll look at is the objects inside our scene. So for the objects, so we'll focus on this cube for this example. Now you guys can left click to select this, and you guys can just press escape to deselect everything. So we'll left click on this, and as you guys can see, these three arrows right here. So on the top we have Z axis, the Y axis, and the X axis. Now if you guys are familiar with 2D games, or if you guys have worked in 2D games, you guys would know that you guys only have the Z and the Y, or basically you guys have just two axes in 2D games. However, in 3D games you guys have this extra axis right here. Now we can use this to move the object. So how shall we move an object? What we'll do is, for example, we'll use left mouse button, click here, and then drag it right, and it will move right, and then drag it left and it will move left. Same thing with the old axis, drag it up and it'll go up, drag it down and it'll go down, and then down here same thing, just click and drag. Now this is your move tool. Now how do you rotate an object? For this you guys have a sign right here. You guys can go up here and you guys will see this sign up here. Now when you do launch your Unreal Engine for the first time, you guys have tutorials showing up like all over the place, so green things, and you guys can obviously go down here to see any available tutorials that are available to you. If you guys are confused, just go to help, go to tutorials, or just go down here and you can hopefully work your way around things. Now to rotate this object, we'll click on this rotate right here, and for a lot of things in this you guys also have hotkeys. So for example, if you want to get to the move tool, you guys just press W and then E for the rotate tool. Now for rotating you'll do the same thing, just left click here and then just move your mouse around, and this will tell you by how many degrees you have rotated an object. And then finally you have the scale tool. Now let's say you want to scale your object, so you want to make it bigger, and so what you can do is you guys can select this white box right in the middle, and you guys can make it smaller or make it bigger by moving your mouse. But let's say you don't want it to be you don't want the size to be equal on all sides. So what do you do? So let's say you want to make it longer on the Y axis, so you'll just click here and then drag this, or just you want to make it smaller on the Y axis, just drag it in, simple. Or if you want to maybe make it bigger on the Z axis, want to make it taller, just go up and then just go down, simple. And same thing with this. Now one problem I also experience sometimes is, let's say you want to move something, so you want to move something, like you want to move it like just by an inch, just by so little, but when you use this, it's like every single move is moving quite a bit. So how do you overcome that? Well, for this, my friends, you have this option right here. You guys can change the snap size. For example, if I'll do 50, because anything else would be crazy. So now if I move this, it's moving great distances every time. Like for every grid, it's moving a lot. But when I go down to 1, it's moving really slowly, which is a lot more useful if you guys want to do some really minute changes to the location of your object. Or you can altogether just click here and disable snapping. Now you guys have complete control about how fast you want to move your mouse or how slow you want to move your mouse. There is no more snapping anymore. So this is the idea for this. Now let's say we're going to press E and want to rotate this. Now rotating this again, it's like you're rotating by 10 degrees and it's really annoying. So same thing here. You guys can change the value by how much you rotate it. Or you guys can turn it off altogether, just disable. And then when you rotate, you guys have free control over rotating this object right here. Now it's not always as useful, so you guys could, I guess, normally just stay around 1 if you guys, or 5. It really depends on what you guys are trying to achieve with this. Okay, and then finally the same thing with scaling. So we press R to go to scaling mode if you want to scale this up, and but now it's not, you don't have full control over how big it scales. It's scaling by 0.25 each time. Obviously you guys can change the values down here. You can just turn this off, just disable it altogether, and then you guys have complete control about how slow or fast it scales with the left clicking and then using your mouse. So this is how you just check out how you rotate, move your objects around and stuff. And of course I've shown you how you can drag in new objects into your scene. Now what we'll look at is we will look at the world outliner. Right here, I'll just drag this down, just make this bigger, you can see it. So now what is this? So world outline, as the name said, as world. So this right now, your scene is your world right now, the in-game. So anything you have inside your scene is down here. You should see it down here. It should be in this list right here. For example, let's say this staircase. For example, the staircase is right here. This question sign is right here. So anything you have your scene should show up right here. And if you want to, let's say you guys are making something, and let's say you're making something inside this cube, I don't know, let's just give you an example, and this cube is in the way and you don't want to just have to go inside like this and work, because it's really awkward. So what you'll do here is you just click on this eye icon and this will disappear from your scene. Press A again to make it make the icon to make the cube appear again. So down here you want to, of course, you guys can name your objects. You want to make sure you name them properly, because once you have a big scene and stuff, you guys can really get confused as to where your objects are. The searching then is a really hard task. Of course, if you also work in a team, you want to have a standard, so a standard on something that everyone will recognize. So if you give something a name, you need to make sure that your colleague knows what he should search for. If you have a large scene and a lot of objects in your scene, then you guys can make new folders. You guys can organize. So if I have a house and I want to organize all the assets of that house, the walls, the windows, the doors, inside that one folder, you guys can make the folder right here. Call it the house, and then just drag and drop all these things into the right folder, and that's it. As simple as that. So this bit is really useful if you want to organize your stuff. You can obviously go to down here and then go to view options, do to only selected, and you'll only see your objects. Turn this off again, and hide temporary actors, and then only in current level and stuff. So these options can be quite useful as well, and this will tell you how many actors you have in your scene right now. So if you lose something in your scene, you can't find it, just search for it here. Just know what it's called and then search for it down here. Now we will look at the details tab. Now what is the details tab? So any object that you have selected in your scene, you guys will have some details for it down here. And of course down here you guys can obviously manually move it stuff. So when you move it, you guys will notice this value changes here. So the location changes, and you guys can manually do the location. So you can type manual values here, just move it like this. You guys can do the scale. So if you want an object to scale exactly to the values you want to scale, now doing it by hand might be a challenge if you guys want to get it all right. So you guys can obviously press now let's say I want to make this 1.5, 1.5 and 1.5. Now it's simple and easy and it's done. And there's one more way you guys can do this thing. And now this log right here, this tells you if the, so now I'll show you what it does. Now if I type 2 in one of them, all of them will change. So this makes sure that all of them change size at the same time with the same value. And if you want to do manual, so if you want it to be longer on the y-axis, you guys make sure the lock is unlocked, and then you do like 2.5, and now it's manually changed this value, but nothing else has changed. Then rotation, you guys can change the values from here. This can be useful if you want to align something exactly with the ground, and you can you obviously change the values here and stuff. Now down here it tells you what type of object you have. You can change the object right here. This is really interesting. You guys can easily change the object. Just down here, simple. Rather than having to drag a new object and delete this one. And then materials. Now materials we'll cover later, but in simple words, if you want to have colors on your objects or anything, or like these, even plants, you guys can make plants with materials, and like you guys can have a mesh, and then you guys can add like a plant texture on top, and it will look like a plant. So this is the materials tab. We can obviously make our materials. You guys can use the ones that come in the starter content. There's materials right here. Just want to play around with them, just experience them. I'll show you guys what it is right now. So we'll select this ground right here, and down here we'll add, let's say we'll add a brick, just a brick material. So we'll just drag it down here. It's taking some time because right now it's loading, since it's the first time we're using this project. Now once it's loaded, drag it down here. And you have some bricks. Now it's not really properly done, but that's more advanced, and we'll cover this later. Or let's say there's another way. If you guys want to do it quickly, just select this and just drag it directly here. Or I'll use this. It'll take some more time because it's loading again for the first time. So as you guys start using stuff, it gets easier and easier because the load time reduces every time. Now you can just drag it here, and it'll automatically apply to this. And you have some really nice materials, and the cool thing is it's a plain material, but normal maps are being used to give this fake look. So now it looks like there's a lot of gap in between it, but you can't actually go there because that place doesn't actually exist. It's just a simple plane. But it's really cool things. I think it's extremely cool how they do that. But yeah, so this is your materials tab, and then you have many different options like collision, lighting, rendering, and stuff. Now keep in mind that for every different type of object, so for a particle system, you guys will have different options down here, and for every different thing, you guys will have different options down here. So this is your details tab, and of course you can add more objects right here. You can add audio and stuff and everything. You guys can open the blueprint settings right here, the blueprint class for this, or convert this to a blueprint, which we will look at later. Right now I don't want to fill your head with too much information at one time. So this was your details tab, and now we'll look at our menu bar, which is right up here. Now then, we will look at the menu bar right up here. So we have 4 options here. We have File, Edit, Windows, and Help. So inside File, you have an option to make a new level. Now you guys can use levels. You guys can have different levels. You guys can think of it as an actual game. So just like inside an actual game, you guys have many different levels. You guys can think of it the same way. So you guys can make different levels. So just imagine you guys don't want to have so many objects in the same level. So you can have different levels. You guys can have them load at different times. Like when a character gets to a certain place, you want to load their levels because you don't want the load on the machine to be too heavy, so your FPS isn't that bad. And any new levels you guys make, you guys can open them down here. Or you guys can have a new level just to perhaps experiment with this or something. And then you can save your own project. And it's really important to save a lot because this engine does some heavy stuff, and it's likely that it could crash times when maybe you enter too many commands or something. So it's really important that you save and you keep extra backups with you as well. If you guys are really serious about the project you're working on, you don't want to lose that a lot. So you guys can save, you guys can open an asset. If you guys can just bring in an asset right here. If you guys open it from here, it will open a new window which will open all the details of the object, and we'll cover that sometime. And you guys can make a new project, open your older projects, make a new C++ class. You guys can package your project. Let's say you have finished making your game and you're happy with it, now you want to package it. You guys can package it for any of these software you guys choose, iOS, Windows, or Android, whatever you guys are aiming for. Or you can cook this content for Windows, or for a Windows platform. You guys can import objects into the levels. You guys can also do down here. You guys can import video, I guess some videos, or audio and FBX files, .wav files and stuff. And then you can exit. So these are all the options you have right here. You guys can export your current level to a file on a disk. And then second thing we have is edits. This is just basics, just undo, and you can check your undo history. or you guys can redo. So Control Z and Control Y, same keys work here, and then copy, cut and paste, Control C, Control V, Control X, and duplicate and delete. And then you have some settings here. These are slightly more advanced, I would say. The preferences and the product settings and the plugins, any plugins you guys have. Now Windows is really important, so anything you mess up down here, you guys can, let's say you close this for example, now you can't find it. Where is it? You can't find it because it's just not in your scene anymore. So you guys can go down here, you guys can click on World Outliner again, and it'll open up again. So anything you guys lose, you guys can't find, just click here and it'll open up again. And then obviously if you guys really mess up, if you guys maybe drag something really badly, drag this around and now you don't know what's going on, just go here, just reset layout and save your stuff, and then just reset layout, and it will go back to this default one right here. So have a play around, see how you like it, because I normally don't have my setup like this. I have my content down here, and then I have this place empty. It's just for the scene, so I can see everything in my scene really clearly. And you guys can have more than one content browsers. Now I use two screens, so normally I have my my content browser on the other screen when I'm using two screens. But for this example, I'm showing you guys everything on one screen. So you guys can bring in more content browsers, or you guys can. There's a lot of tools you guys can play around with here. And now inside help, you guys have some tutorials. You have links to the online documentation and the forums and the answer herbs, which can be really useful for you guys. So yeah, so if you guys are really stuck, you don't know what to do, just go here, just find out stuff, I guess. And then you guys have down here, you guys can send feedback, quick feedback and stuff. You guys can check out tutorials in here. You guys can click on it. You guys can click here to close your other tutorials. You can type here to search for help and everything. And then yeah, so this is it. And then the next thing we'll look at right now is the toolbar down here. Now this toolbar, you guys have some obviously basic options like save. So you guys can press save right here to quickly save everything. You have some source control. I don't use that, it's quite advanced, so right now you don't have to worry about this at all. And then you guys have some content. You guys can, if you guys close this, you guys can open the content browser from right here. So there you go. When I click this one, it tells me that it's right here, so it's telling me that this is right here. You guys can open the marketplace, which I believe should take you to an external link, but you guys can try if you guys want. Now inside your settings, you guys obviously have your world settings, your product settings, and your plugins, and then your selection and stuff. You guys can obviously you guys can change your scalability settings. So if you have a really massive scene and you don't want to have, you know, it's not running very well, it's laggy for you, so you want to turn this down a bit to make sure that your game looks good and stuff. And then this can be quite useful as well. And then material quality level, so you guys can do all the shaders and the quality levels down here. You can change the volume, the distance, snapping distance and stuff, and then previewing. There's a lot of options to use here. Now blueprints. Now blueprints is, as I like to call it, visual coding in a way. I think, personally, I find blueprinting a lot easier, but then again, I have no experience with C++. I've never learnt it, I've never tried it, so I can't say which one is easier, but I do like blueprints. I think you guys can do some really cool stuff. So you guys can do all the, you're gonna make the functionality for your game in those blueprints, and credits to Unreal Engine, they have made it really nice and really easy. So if you guys, for example, want to teleport your guy, you guys just type teleport, and you guys can bring in a blueprint for that. And then you guys can connect different nodes, and let's not make it too complicated. So yeah, this is the blueprints. And then cinematics, of course. The sequencer is a new one that just came out. I still use Matinee. I'm just used to it. I just like it. There's nothing to it, but I think the sequencer is probably better since it's improved and everything. So you guys can make cutscenes and all cool stuff with this. And for the build tool, you guys can build your lighting, make it preview level, production level, and these are the things that you look at later stages when you are, when you're at the stages of like finalizing your game, or really maybe sending out a trailer for the game or something. But this can be quite a heavy task. This takes some time to build lighting depending on how big your scene is, or whether using static lights. So static means the lights are still, the lights have been made and they will not move, and dynamic or movable means that as the sun moves, the shadows will change, so the shadows will follow along. So there's different options, and then in play you guys can just simply press play. So if I show you guys, if I just press play, Just move around, normally WASD, space to jump. And this is a template, so this template has the basics ready for you. So if you guys just want to make a game from this, just a practice game. You guys can use this character right here, everything's already set up, just add your stuff, make some use of blueprints perhaps, add some functionality, and you have your game ready. Now in play we have quite a few options. You guys can do a mobile preview, new editor, standalone, but I'll look at simulate right now. So what simulate does is, you guys have your main camera, you guys can fly around, but it takes away all those extra icons and stuff, and you guys can see what the player will see in game, but not from the player's perspective, but from the camera's perspective. That makes sense. You guys can move around really fast and stuff, so it's a useful tool. I use it quite a bit to see my particle effects and stuff. And then you have a standalone game. So if you press this, it will open a new window, and it will open it as an extra as a side game. So you guys can, if you guys have added some functionality, added a menu or something, you can use this to see what it looks like. You guys can spawn player at current camera location, default player start and stuff. You guys have a multiplayer option here. You guys can increase the number of players and advanced settings. And then in launch, you guys can launch it for desktop or for Chrome and lots of stuff here. So this is it, guys. This was the basic beginner startup thing. I hope you guys find this useful. And yeah, I hope you guys do find it. And the last thing I missed out. So if you guys click on any object, you can choose 2 right here. So I'll show you what this does. So now if I press E and rotate this down here, now you'll notice that your rotation is kind of not right. It's just sideways. And now if you press this, it goes straight up. So you guys can use this option to whichever one you like more. It's really your choice, I suppose. And then yeah, so I hope you guys found this useful. Now in the future videos, I'll be breaking down things, making this easier for you guys. We'll cover materials, particle systems, blueprint systems, and obviously I'll be doing Blender tutorials to show you guys how you guys can make your own objects. You just don't have to just use the starter content. You can make nice houses, nice characters and everything. So yeah, we'll cover that later. So I hope you guys found this useful, and leave a like and subscribe so to keep up with the more of this stuff. If you guys didn't like something about it, leave it in the comments and I'll try and improve it next time.